However, no one could hold out for long, and even the heroes. So they decided to seal him. Ryu, Lear, Oka, and Ryu were very surprised. At his last strength, the Dark Dragon said that he just wanted to find someone who could match his strength. Surprised by the words of the Dark Dragon, Ryu thought about it and remembered how his comrades had told him that they had become much stronger, so they were going on a trip. The mentor can't fight, so Ryu has to stay in the village. They said goodbye to him and told him to take care of the animals in the village. Ryu clenched his fist and thought about how the Dark Dragon was lonely. The Dark Dragon asked what was the matter and demanded the young man to tell him what he wanted. If nothing comes to mind, then he asked the young man to just finish him off. Ryu interrupts him and says that he has decided everything. He smiles and addresses the Dragon of Darkness, and then points his finger at himself and invites the dragon to become friends. Lear, Oka, and Karin were surprised, but the Dark Dragon was also surprised. Lear shouts at Ryu and asks him what he's carrying. The Dark Dragon asked the young man what he meant. Ryu replied that he understood him better than anyone else. Possessing great power, the Dark Dragon was very lonely. Ryu drooped a little and put his hand on his chest. At this time, Lear and Karin were looking at Ryu very sadly. The young man decided to approach the dragon and said that they had defeated him. Ryu holds out his hand to the lying dragon and says that they are equal to him, so he offers the Dark Dragon to be friends. Ryu smiles and asks the Dark Dragon if he will grant his wish. The dragon is surprised and silent. He was about to give an answer, but suddenly they are interrupted by Oka, who said she was against it. Oka.
It has to be a compy. Compy's the only one that has the ability to go in there. So if that's not a compy, you can't get in there. Is that a compy? Then that should open. Let me see. So here's a compy. No, you're not a compy because we don't have the bone unlocked for the compy. Yeah, you're the next size up.
Please remember, the gyroscopes are not bumper cars.
Oops.
Said that the Dark Dragon is such a creature. If they forgive him, the Dark Dragon may start killing again. She points to the reclining head of the Dark Dragon. Ryu said that after listening to his story, he realized that the Dark Dragon was no longer going to kill. Oka is about to say something, but Tiamat interrupts her. The lady answers, examining her body, that they were able to defeat the Dark Dragon, and the spell from her body fell off. Oka rejoices and rushes into the arms of his grandmother. Tiamat told Ryu that the world of monsters is a world in which the strongest survives. So the choice is up to Ryu. Ryu thought about it and said that if the Dark Dragon became evil again, then they could defeat him. If they could defeat him now, they could do it again. He turns to Oka and says that they may not trust him. However, he asks Oka if she doesn't believe him. Oka is tensing up. The girl remembers all the moments with Ryu. Oka turns away and says that she will agree only this time. But if something happens, it will be on the conscience of the young man. Ryu thanks the girl. Ryu turns to the Dark Dragon and asks him what his answer is. The Dark Dragon starts laughing and says it's some kind of strange wish. He agrees, and then asks the young man to let him heal him. Suddenly, a bright glow appears from his hand, and then the dragon points towards the young man. The Dark Dragon says it will be proof of their friendship. Then a bright glow penetrates directly into the young man's body. Ryu is surprised, and then the Dark Dragon says that he put a piece of his soul into the young man. He disappears and says that they will see each other soon. Ryu was very surprised that the Dark Dragon disappeared, and then his body buckled and the young man fell to the ground. Lear rushed straight to the young man. After a while, the young man is in his consciousness. He is lying on someone's lap and realizes that he has lost consciousness. Ryu wakes up and asks where he is. The girl says that Ryu has finally woken up. Ryu is surprised and sees her. The girl smiles sweetly. Ryu says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and then asks the girl if she really has already woken up. It turns out that the girl was able to recover. Her replied that she had recovered. He could only talk to the young man in this world. Her then told the young man that he was too reckless. Ryu was stunned. Ryu said that in the battle with the dragon and during training, the young man was constantly on the verge of death. The desire to become stronger is not bad. but the young man is taking too many risks. Ryu understands what the girl said about training and realized that it turns out that it was her relentless strength. Ryu
Gary
replied that he
Rex.
understood and he would be more careful from now on. Her smiled and said she was glad to hear that. Ryu then said that the dark dragon was talking about putting a part of his soul into it. Her agrees and says that's exactly how it is and that the egg is in that direction. She points her hand directly at him. Ryu looked at the egg and asked if it was really the egg of the dark dragon. He said the egg looks beautiful. Her smiled and said that the dragon of darkness was not originally evil. He was originally a golden dragon who was always striving for new knowledge. However, after learning forbidden magic, he turned into a dragon of darkness.
So that's
Just
what.
an ordinary dragon, but with a very strong soul. Ryu said he understood everything.
What?
And that Ryu is doing.
I can't hear you. I was gonna be a Rex. Why? Why is my screen going so much? Okay, there we go.
Says that maybe Ryu spares the dark dragon because her is also a dragon. Ryu thinks he doesn't want to take anyone's life just like that. Her replies that was why she liked the young man. Her takes the egg and says they'll get back to the subject. She asks Ryu to take a closer look. The young man is surprised when he sees a small dragon inside the egg. Her says that he was rebuilding his body in this egg. Ryu asks if he will really come to life someday. Her agrees and told the young man not to worry, because she would look after this dragon. She then told Ryu that it was time for them to say goodbye. Ryu interrupted her and asked when her would be able to leave the young man's body. Her was very surprised. Ryu said that her has always been here alone, and he is sad to realize that she is very lonely. Her said she is not lonely. Ryu is very comfortable inside, and she feels safe. She is quite comfortable here, so she asks the young man not to worry. Ryu was a little sad and went to his bed. He then asked her if she becomes a demon hole, will the girl be able to come out, or gets scared and shudders? Her replies that she will be able to get out. Ryu is happy, but the girl says that there is no need to do this. The demon lord is a powerful monster that commands other demons. She says that Ryu should never become one, so she suggests that they end their conversation for now. Ryu asks the girl to stop. Her smiles sadly and says that they will be able to talk to Ryu later. The young man calls the girl, but she does not hear. After a while, the young man
Leave me behind. I did all that work while you just sat here and roared.
Glad that Ryu is okay. Ryu is surprised and asks where they are. We said that after Ryu fell, they met their grandparents and all returned safely to the castle. Ryu realizes that it looks like he must have been unconscious. Ryu thanks all of them for their help. Ms. Tiamat said that it seems that the young man has not fully recovered yet, so he should rest. Lear also tells the young man that if he feels unwell, he should call her. Ryu agrees and tells the girls to rest too. Ryu remains alone. The young man thinks it's because her is okay. He thinks that she cannot agree, but he doesn't understand why he shouldn't become a demon lord. At that time, her was thinking that this was exactly the case. If Ryu becomes a demon lord, then he will be able to get out of this space. However, with such power, the young man will be very lonely. He will have to sacrifice all his friends. She thinks about Ryu and asks if Ryu can handle it. After a while, there was a celebration in the city. All the people were joyfully celebrating, eating, drinking, dancing, and singing. They rejoiced that the dragon of darkness had been defeated. They drank to the bottom. They blessed the dragon emperor, Lord Ryu. Lear walked up to Ryu and said, smiling, that it looked like the young man was very popular and Ryu agreed and said that now people in the city are
Chicken! Chicken good! Nom nom nom! Nom nom nom
The
nom!
emperor asked the guys to let him express his gratitude to them once again. He says that without them, they would not have been able to defeat the evil dragon. The emperor then asks what she wants as a rule. Ryu got scared and said he should. The emperor tells the young man not to be shy, because he can't just let them go without rewarding, so they can ask whatever they want. Ryu thinks that even though the emperor says this, he does not understand what to ask for and there are no ideas at all. Ryu asks about what he can even ask for. The Emperor replies that the young man can ask for anything his heart desires.
Okay.
Treasures,
No.
artifacts, or the right to live in the palace. Ryu thinks about it. Then Ms. Tiamat smiles and apologizes for interfering. But she has an idea. She thinks about it and asks the young man why he should not choose her as a reward. The girl is grinning. Ryu, Oka, Lear, and Karin are very surprised and ask what the girl means. Lear asks if Mrs. Tiamat really wants to become his wife. Karin asks if Tiamat is going to marry Dad. Oka asks what Grandma is talking about. Ryu laughs nervously and says that, in short, the Emperor will not agree with it. Suddenly, the Emperor and his wife say that anything at all. The Emperor asks Ryu what he will say to them, because it would be nice to get a dragon as a wife. Ryu was confused, and he was surrounded by his teammates. The young man looks at Mrs. Tiamat. Tiamat covers her mouth with her hand and asks what she said. Suddenly, the Emperor asks the young man if he really did not like this proposal. The Emperor then asks if it is possible that Ryu will then take Lady Tiamat's claws. Ryu is surprised and asks the Emperor what he means by talking about claws. The Emperor agrees and says that strong weapons and simple armor are created with the claws and scales of dragons. They can enhance their equipment. Or the young man wants something else. He tells the Emperor that it will do, and then turns to Lady Tiamat. The girl was laughing nervously. The Emperor said that then the young man would receive dragon claws as a reward. He will prepare everything, but in the meantime they can rest. At that moment, Oka exhaled. After a while, Ryu trained with Lear and Karin. He trained with a blade. Lear asks Ryu if he's okay. The young man wiped his sweat. Lear added that the young man has not recovered yet and maybe he will rest a little more. Ryu said he was fine, so he'd better practice. Ryu was thinking that it looked like the dark dragon still hadn't recovered. It's good that Er is looking after him. He needs to become much stronger to catch up with the heroes. At that moment, Oka came up to Ryu and handed him a bottle with a towel. She said joyfully that she would help him. Then the girl asked if the young man really trains so much. Unfortunately, that's all.
So many coins.
The young man thanks the girl, then watches carefully as Ryu wipes his sweat.
Coins everywhere.
What's the matter? The girl says that there is nothing, and then asks what the young man will do when he receives the award. Ryu says he's thinking.
Too
of
bad
things
when you're that
like
small, it won't let you get
stuff
across
she
the
would like to
bridges.
do. Suddenly, Oka gets nervous and asks the young man if possible, she can go with the young man and his companions. Ryu asks what the Emperor will say. Oka told the young man not to
I
worry,
win!
because her father said it would be useful for her to tell the world.
I won by stopping.
Definitely allowed. Oka says that if it is possible, then it is possible for her to go with them. Ryu was amazed, and then remembered how the girl had said that she really wanted to travel. Oka thought that she was a princess and couldn't just leave the country, but she wanted to do it so much. Suddenly Karin broke the silence. Karin is happy and says that she agrees and does not mind traveling with her at all. Lear said they couldn't do that at all. Everyone started to be silent. Ryu said that everything is correct and they cannot make such important decisions alone. Oka said nothing. Ryu patted the girl on the
Well, I
hand.
thought we were going to do a mission.
Because they would go with the girl. Ryu
To get
smiles and says
unlock
that they
more
will
stuff.
definitely get permission from the Emperor. He asked the girl to believe in him. Oka was delighted and asked if this was really the case. They were going to go to the Emperor right away. Suddenly, a man interrupted them and
We're
said that the
YouTubing right
Emperor
now,
was
so we should be
He will
doing
escort them
something.
to the throne room. After a while, the group comes to the throne room. There is a huge table there. The Emperor pulls a white cloth off the table and says that this is the guy's reward. There were 5 claws on the table. Ryan was surprised that there were so many of them. The Emperor replied that Tiamat said that different claws have different effects, so they prepared several options. The claws of the Earth Dragon are very strong, and the claws of the Water Dragon are very flexible and beautiful. The Air Dragon has light and sharp claws. The Emperor said that there are also special ones. He asks the young man to choose any claws he likes. Ryu begins to examine the claws and realizes that there are a lot of different types of claws, and he does not understand which one to choose. Suddenly, he notices the claw and says that he likes it, but he thinks that it is immediately obvious that it is special, and also very comfortable in his hand. The Emperor smiled and said that he had a diamond in his eye. He says that this claw is Tiamat. Ryu is very surprised.
yeah,
and
sorry,
asks
did
if
I
it
hit
really
you?
belongs to Tiamat. The Emperor says that they were very lucky, because the student chose the teacher's claw. Tiamat was embarrassed and told the
Yep,
Emperor
I
to
see.
stop. Then the Emperor snapped
Dust
his fingers
balls!
and said that he had a better idea.
Dust balls!
He asked Ryu why he shouldn't take Tiamat with him. Ryu and Tiamat are surprised. Oka, Karin, and Lear are also surprised. The Emperor asked Tiamat if she enjoyed training with Ryu. Tiamat said that she had an obligation to take care of Mrs. O, so she had to refuse. At this moment, Ryu notices Aoka, who is very nervous, and clutches the hem of her dress with her hands. Ryu smiled and nodded at the girl. She clenched her hand into a fist. Suddenly, Oka stamped the heel of her. She's been thinking about it for a long time. She wants to personally see all the wonders of this world. But even if they are against it, she is not going to give up. Oka bows and asks her grandmother if father is dangerous. The Emperor says that he understands how the girl feels, but the girl is still too young, so she must wait a few more years. Suddenly, Tiamat says she has to disagree. Oka fought the Dragon of Darkness and did a good job. Tiamat thinks that Oka has grown up enough. Besides, she will be with Ryu. He's strong enough, so there won't be any problems. She thinks they should let Aoka go. The girl was surprised by her grandmother's words.
Just go through that rock.
Turns to the young man and says that she has one condition. She says that Ryu is obliged to protect Oka during the journey. If she gets hurt, then the young man will not escape any punishment. Besides, it could lead to an international scandal.
I can't hit it.
The young man if he is ready to take responsibility for Oka. At this
so
moment,
tiny.
the girl is very angry. Oka says that Ryu doesn't have to agree to this, because she can protect herself. Tiamat said that in a previous interview, Oka had shown the opposite. She turns to Ryu and says that if the young man cannot protect the lady, then he cannot give consent, so he asks to answer her question. Ryu starts to keep silent, and then says that he will speak frankly. He cannot promise such a thing. He doesn't know what might happen during the journey, so he can't guarantee that Okna won't get hurt. The girl gets scared. However, Ryu promised that if something happened, he would definitely help her, not because she was a princess, but because they were friends. Therefore, they asked Ms. Tiamat to let Oka travel with her friends. Ryu then bows. Mrs. Tiamat frowned and then smiled. She asked if Ryu was really a friend of the princess. Ryu panicked and said that's exactly what happened. Lady Tiamat turns to the Emperor and asks what the Emperor will say. She asks the Emperor if he will let Oka go. The Emperor smiled and asked how he could possibly refuse their benefactor's request. He agrees and tells Oka that she can go on a trip. Oki's fist starts shaking. And then the girl rejoices and says that she will be able to tell the world. Ryu turns to Oka and says that he is very happy. Oka thanks Ryu. Mrs. Tiamat interrupts them and says that, however, she has one condition, which is that she goes with them. Ryu is surprised and asks Mrs. Tiamat. Oka is surprised and turns to his grandmother. Tiamat said she never said she wouldn't let them go alone. Tiamat said that if they cause problems in another country, it could result in an international conflict. In addition, this could result in an international conflict. In addition, it may cause problems for Mr. Ryu as well. Tiamat asked the young man to treat this with understanding. Clear says she doesn't mind, and Karina adds that it will be more fun this way. Suddenly they ask Oka what's wrong. The girl replies that she was only glad that she finally got her freedom. The Emperor laughed and told the girl not to talk like that. The man said that before they left, he would like to talk. The Emperor says that he has a request for the young man. Ryu is surprised and asks what kind of request is in question. The Emperor asks Ryu if they could visit the elf village. There are many spirits living in the elf forest, and he recently received a message from the Spirit King. He asks Ryu to help him with a case. Ryu is surprised and asks if he really needs to help him with something. The Emperor agrees and says that the news of the death of the Dragon of Darkness is spreading very quickly, so he asks to lend him his powers. The request is that people have started kidnapping elves, and he asks to catch all the poachers. They capture spirits, and the captured elves are sold as servants. It is difficult for him to appear in human settlements, so he asks the young man for help. Ryu said that he understood everything, because he is also a human being. Ryu thought that he had asked for help from a man he hated. He doesn't mind helping, but he doesn't know what the others will say. Suddenly, he heard the girls telling Ryu to do as he sees fit. Clear says she's sure they all think the same way. Oka asks if this is not the best part of traveling.
Hey,
the young man can do what he wants.
What's this?
Ryu agreed and said that he would go to the elf village. The Emperor said he was flattered that he had decided to ask for his help. He is very happy. Ryu realizes that he is supposed to be able to talk to the King of Spirits himself. The Emperor said that the village elder would speak for him. The village of the elves is located in the south of the Great Forest. Ryu said that he understood, and then they set off. Emperor Elf wants her to have a lot of fun while traveling.
You're a dust bunny.
Oka smiled and, saying goodbye to her
Dust
parents,
bunny
said
Rex.
that they had gone. Everyone was very happy. Ryu's group made their way through the thicket of the forest. Ryu said that it is difficult to walk in this part because of the roots. Tiamat replied that there are many large trees in this part of the forest. They are approaching the elven village and it will be easier to go further. Ryu said he understood everything. Ryu turns to the guys and says that there is very little left. He looks at Alka, who is all out of breath and was very upset. The girl said she was fine and then tried to catch her breath. Tiamat told the girl to hurry up. If they keep going at the same pace, they will never get there. She asks the princess to consider it a workout, and then asks her to try her best. Oka was upset. Ryu said it was tough. Ryu said that, by the way, this is his first time in this part of the forest. Ms. Tiamat said it was okay. The spirits created a barrier around the village so that it would be impossible to find it. Lear said they couldn't get into the village. There are guardian spirits around the barrier. If they identify themselves, they will let them in. Ryu smiled and said that it looked like they were already close. Suddenly, the young man was surprised and looked sideways. They saw a young man's little spirit. Ryu was very happy, and Karin said it was the first time they had seen them. Ryu asked the spirit if he had really come to meet them. Suddenly, the spirit showed which way to go and flew there. Ryu didn't know if he should go after him or what had happened. They did not understand where the spirit was flying at high speed. Tiamat said that she did not understand anything, but they began to move away from the village. Suddenly, the young man heard a voice. The next moment, someone attacked them. Lear and Ryu were even a little scared.
Nice.
Saw a huge number of spiders. Tiamat said that these monsters are called forest spiders. Ryu didn't understand where so many of them came from. And then Karin turned to the young man and asked him to look away. Huge spiders attacked people. Ryu said he needed to help them. They quickly dealt with a bunch of spiders. One of the spiders attacked the young man, who was very shocked. Ryu said if the young man was really safe. Lear agreed and said that the young man would faint. Tiamat said he didn't seem to have any serious injuries. Suddenly, the spirit flew up to the young man. Ryu said that's why he brought them here. Suddenly, there was a sound from the carriage, calling for a man and asking if he could help him. There were elves in the cage and asked the young man if he could let them out. Lear and Ryu were very surprised when they saw the elves in the wagon. After a while, they released them. The elves thanked the young man and say that they will not be able to reward them now. Ryu said he didn't need anything. His name is Ryu, and he came at the request of the spirit king. Oka said that everything was fine. Ryu said that this spirit brought them here. The elf is surprised, and then sees a spirit who asks her to be silent and smiles. After a while, people wake up and do not understand what happened, and they were attacked by forest spiders. They rushed to run and shouted that they didn't care about the elves because they needed to escape from here, because their lives were dear to them. Ryu realized that they had escaped without thinking, and then suddenly discovers something on the ground. He sees a sword with an interesting emblem that seems to be on all things. Tiamat said she had never seen anything like this before. It seems that they are all from the same group, and this group is clearly not a small one. Perhaps even the nobles are members of this organization. Ryu says that no more information is needed. They have to go to the village, so they need to talk to the
right. We still need the big pteranodon.
After a while, they walk through a dense
We don't have it.
Ryu thinks that the elves who were kidnapped are 4 women and 2
We still have an amber to
realized
get.
that even children were being abducted. He doesn't even want to think about what these people wanted to do to them. We need to deal with these poachers as soon as possible and protect the elves and spirits. The elf girl says that they are almost there and it remains only to go through the bushes. Then they come to their home. Ryu is surprised and says that this is an elf village. Then the little spirit flies away and Ryu says goodbye to him. An elf runs up to them and calls the elf Helen, and then rushes into their arms. The girl says she is in pain, and the elf replies that he was so worried when she was kidnapped. Ryu understands that they are a family. Helen points to the young man and says that they were saved by that man. The man bows and thanks Ryu for saving Helen. Ryu says that no thanks are needed and he just helped in a difficult moment.
Oh no, I'm doing the chasing. Why can't I roar? Oh, I can charge, but I can't roar. Can I roar? Any buttons work for roar? Oh wait, no, you are. Okay, never mind. Can't get me. Can't get me. Can't get me. No. Hey, can we split screen Among Us, I wonder?
Please, you thinking on Among Us? No.
We haven't played Among Us in a long time.
Has anyone seen the Indominus lately? Or at all?
Oh,
Did you hear that?
there's
It
a
was
lot of
raw.
blocks here to get.
No, that was my stomach. Although I think that chicken I ate might have been raw. Yeesh, that dinosaur couldn't have been any more
I
creepy
need the
if they stuck it full
kiddo.
of clown DNA.
Helen calls her grandfather and says that they came to them at the request of the King of Spirits. The man asked if this was really the case, and then says that the young man must be Mr. Ryo. He clears his throat and asks to introduce himself, saying that he is the village elder and his name is Al Ray Solomon. And this is his granddaughter, Helen. Ryo is surprised that the man is an elder and realizes that he doesn't look more than 20. He wonders if Al's age at all. At this point, Al takes them to the King of Spirits, so he asks the guys to follow him. After a while, they come to the house with a round table. The elder turns to the Lord and says that Mr. Ryo has arrived at his request. He thinks they can start saving their kin. Ryo asks if they want to discuss strategy. The elder gives a positive answer. Many of their relatives have been kidnapped by traitors and will soon be sold into the ministry. He developed a plan to deal with them. Ryo asked what it was. The elder of the elves said that they would break into the houses of the nobles who bought their brothers and rescue all the elves and spirits, as well as kill all the slavers. That's all. Ryo was very surprised and asked what it all meant. Then he realized that this plan was too simple. Lear and Tina were also surprised and amazed. Lear whispered to Ryo, could it be that the elder was joking? Ryo replied that he didn't think so. At this time, Karin told the elder that this was a great plan. Oka agreed with the girl and added that they could go and kill everyone. They were already rushing into battle, but suddenly Ryo stopped. He ordered the girls to stop and added that it was too reckless. First, how will they find out which houses the elves will be in, and why not immediately break into the dealers of prohibited goods? The elves said that the scouts they sent to the kingdom still haven't returned. Ryo said that if they attacked the nobles, they would definitely want revenge and attack the village. They need to think it over again. Suddenly, the elf banged his fist on the table and said that they didn't have that much time. Even now, their kin are suffering from these ruthless people. They endure all this pain with the hope that they will save them, and they cannot keep them waiting. The elves began to support the one who had just made a speech. Ryo realized that it was also very difficult for them, and that was why they were in such a hurry. Because they want to save the elves and spirits as soon as possible. Ryo purses her lips and says that she needs to think about everything first. If they attack indiscriminately, the elves may die and they will waste a lot of time. It will do more harm than good. The elder asks what they should do then. Ryo puts his hand to his chest and tells the elves to leave it to him. He will come to the dealers of prohibited goods as a buyer. All the elves are surprised. Ryo says that with themselves, he will be able to find out the necessary information and, perhaps, he will be able to buy some of them outright. The elder asked if it wasn't too dangerous. Oka said that was it. Besides, he has no idea how much money the young man will need for this. Ryo says that they just need to be earned. He will receive money from the sale of materials from hunting in the Great Forest. In addition, he has a small stock from the sale in the Dwarf Kingdom. He thinks there are about 60 gold coins left. He turns to the elder and asks him if there are dangerous monsters in the area. He will be able to earn money from them. The elder says that, of course, there are many forest spiders here. They have recently appeared in the forest and have begun to actively reproduce. They've already suffered enough. He told the young man not to forget about the monsters they had already defeated. Ryo agreed and said that there would be no problems. He raises his hand and says that they are starting a mission to save the elves and will do their best. At this time, in the deep forest, a spirit flew to another spirit. The spirit turned to the young man and asked where he had been all this time.
Oh, wait.
Looking for him for a very long time.
I'm trying to break this.
And says that he wanted to know a little about Ryo. The spirit says that if the young man runs away like that, then he may have problems. And then he asked the spirit how Ryo felt. The spirit puts on the mantle and says that he, the King of Spirits, recognized him as a very interesting guy. He is confident that Ryo will be able to help their village. He also adds that although Ryo is a mentor, he is very brave and kind-hearted. Sometime in the past, the Spirit King met with a man. They wanted to create a world between humans and spirits. The man agreed and said, why don't they sign a contract to use the power of spirits? The powers of spirits can greatly help people in many ways. The spirit spirit asks what their advantage is. The man said that he would explain now and says that now people have completely forgotten about the blessings of the spirits and use them as simple workers and they can change this. The
Because
King
you
of
killed me.
Spirits thinks about it when he reads the letter and realizes that he seems to be the only one who still believes in it. Sometime
You were the
Ryu
spinner.
killed several spiders and said that he thought that would be enough. The elf asked if people would buy them at all. Ryu said that they can be used in different ways. For example, use threads for clothes. He tells them that they can now go to the principality. Suddenly, an elder approaches Ryu and calls the young man. Ryu turns around and sees a group of elves. The elder asks the young man to help their brothers because his daughter is welcome to die. Ryu was surprised and asked if the elder's daughter was really among those who died. The elder said that many children, parents, and even orphans have been abducted. However, each of them is dear. All the elves bow down and ask Ryu if his wish to bring them home. Ryu agrees. The elder rummages in his pocket and asks the young man to take something. He gives him a package. Ryu asks what kind of letter it is. The elder says that this letter is from the King of Spirits and the young man gave it to the ruler of the principality. Ryu asks which ruler of the principality the young man is talking about. Ryu asks about what's in this letter. The elder replies that Ryu should just hand it over. Ryu agrees and says that he is not sure if he will be able to beat him, but he will try. The elder thanked Ryu's group. The elves bless Ryu.
You've been caged.
After a while, the girls asked Ryu what kind of principality Iraq was. Ryu replied to Karin that he did not know the details, but everything was not as strict there as in other countries. You don't need a card when you enter there. Ms. Tiamat replied that this principality had also received the blessing of the spirits. Oka was surprised and asked if they were really kidnapping elves and spirits for sale. Tiamat said it was most likely someone's plan. First, you need to get information. When they sell the spiders to the guild, they should talk to the people. They come to the city and Ryu asks if this is really the principality of Iraq. He also says he doesn't see anything special. They enter the guild and realize that it is somehow lifeless here. The young man takes out the spiders and says he wants to sell them. They give him money and ask him to count it. Ryu thanked him, but he thought that he had some kind of feeling of deja vu. Ryu then says that they have received the money. Suddenly, someone calls Ryu. It was Mac. The young man said that they had not seen each other for a long time. Mac said he heard that someone was selling rare materials, so he came to pick it up. He thought it was a young man. Ryu was surprised. Oka asked Ryu if he really knew Mac. Ryu agreed and said that they had met in the land of the dwarves. Mac said he couldn't even believe he met Ryu here. He did not expect that the young man decided to come here in such a busy time. Ryu was surprised and asked the young man what kind of stressful time Mac is talking about. Mac said that perhaps the young man did not know, but the ruler had recently come down from the hills. Ryu was very surprised. Mac continued and said that in this country, whoever was able to sign a contract with the King of Spirits becomes the ruler. However, now no one has been able to sign the contract, so people are very worried. Ryu replied that everything was clear. He thought about what it meant that the Spirit King and the current ruler were familiar. Perhaps the letter says both regions.
Now you're stuck.
Mac is surprised and says that Ryu is so cunning. Ryu asks the young man if he has it.
What?
He asks him.
Nope, you're stuck. You went in there. You wanted to be there, so that's what you get.
They're kind of called black holes. Mac said that he remembered one person who was associated with this guild. Ryu was surprised and asked if this was really the case. Mac said that with the appearance of Ryu's birth, it would be difficult to.
I'm invisible now.
Ryu was surprised.
Now I'm
and
not.
asked. Mac said that dealers in prohibited
Now I'm invisible.
by their clothes.
No, I'm not.
Their appearance, they can simply be mistaken.
You gonna get out or what?
Mac replied that as soon as they got expensive clothes, so they could go straight to it. There's nothing else he can do. Ryu thanked him. After a while, everything was scattered. The girls were worried and asked if everything was going to be alright. Karin said it was inconvenient. Oka told the girl that it suits her very well. Tiamat told everyone that they should behave like
Let's see what else we got
so
here.
they should watch their behavior and work. The heroes were dressed in very gallant and expensive clothes. Ryu told the girls that everything was fine and suggested that they repeat everything. Father, and Tiamat is his wife. Karin and Oka are their daughters. Wants to say the real one. The girls spoke very hard and asked why she had to be an animal. Ryu said it was because
Banana?
the girl couldn't hide her tail and ears. It is very difficult for her to disguise herself as a human. The girl was upset, and they decided to go to the dealers of prohibited goods. Everyone agreed. After a while, the whole group was met by the butler, who asked if they were really the first ones. Ryu agreed and said that his close friend, Mac, had recommended them. The man said he understood everything. The man then asked Ryu which servant they were interested in. Ryu was surprised and thought that he hadn't even planned to buy it. Suddenly, Mrs. Tiamat interrupted them and said that he should do his housework well and preferably have an attractive appearance. She asked what kind of servants they had. The man said that then they should be allowed to show them all the goods they had, so he asks them to go after him. Ryu turns to Tiamat and waves her head. They go down a long flight of stairs. Ryu asked the man what kind of servants they keep. The man replied that they had a lot of servants. There is a man who could not pay off his debts. There is also a former adventurer known. In general, the man is sure that they will be satisfied. Oka whispered and said it was disgusting. Ryu asked her to be quiet. The man also said that they still have half humans. Ryu asked if they were even available. The man agreed and said that it was exactly like that and asked Ryu if he was really interested. The man replied that he could show them if they wanted to. The man asked Ryu what race the man was interested in, maybe dogs or cats. Suddenly, Ryu asks the man if they have elves. The man is very surprised. He stopped and Ryu whispered to Tiamat, asking if he had really said something wrong. Tiamat replied that perhaps he had begun to suspect. The man said he was very sorry, but unfortunately they didn't have elves. Ryu was surprised. After a while, they arrive at the river. The man says that elves are a valuable commodity, and they are only put up for auction. Ryu said that he understood everything, which means that they can't be found at other merchants either. The man agreed and said that it was much more profitable to sell them at auctions. Ryu thought that this was very bad and everything could be solved with money with merchants, but with auctions it was another matter. The one with the most money wins at auctions, and the elves will be worth fabulous money. He understands that they need to find out where they are being held faster. Ryu asks the man where the auction will take place. The man said that he was very sorry, but he could not disclose such information. Ryu plays out a bag of gold coins and asks the man if he can tell him a little about elves for a modest gift. The man was very surprised. The man asks the man not to disclose information to others. They have especially many women and children. Recently, the Dark Guild has done its best. He had heard that they had recently been able to capture a bunch of elves. Ryu realizes that there are so many of them. If they want to free everyone, then they need to act carefully. Suddenly, Ryu notices Wyro Ray Solomon. He points at her, and the man says that your customer has a good eye. Ryu realizes that in 3 days she will be sold at auction, and the headman asks to save his daughter. He looks at the girl and realizes that they have the same last name, and it seems that this is the elder's daughter. Tiamat whispers
Didn't I already give him a banana?
Time left for the auction, and they should hurry up. Ryu agreed. Ryu says that means there will be a chance to get a real treasure soon, and then asks why elves are so valuable. The man replies that he didn't even know. Suddenly, Ryu gives him another bag of coins, and the man agrees to tell Ryu that
There was a banana tree? Where?
the elf himself
What
is
tree?
considered as a nice bonus. Ryu asks about the bonus and what
I already did
the man
that.
asks Ryu if he knows that the ruler is ill right now. Therefore, now everyone is trying to sign a contract with the spirit, and for this, elves are needed. Usually, the spirits are always near the elves. Ryu thinks about the words of the elf, who says that even
I already
now their
did
brothers
this
and
part.
sisters are suffering terribly.
Oh, I must
They
have
ask
dropped
the
it or
to help.
something
He looks
instead.
at the
I
man
swear I
and thinks
ended
that now
it.
the hearts of the elves are bursting with freedom, and they have staged the spirit hunt and treat elves like pigs. Ryu was very angry. Even Karin noticed this and said that Dad was very angry. And Oka said
Oh,
that
it's
she
because I
felt
accidentally
the
switched
man asked
characters
Ryu if
over
was
there,
anything
that's
he could do to
why.
help. Ryu gave a negative answer and said that would be enough. He also asked if he could find out who was behind it. The man apologized and said that he did not have such information. Ryu thanked the man for the information. He says that they think it's time for them to go. Next time,
So
they
now
will
the
definitely
last
buy
thing is a
service. The
mushroom
man
of
thanked
some
them,
sort,
then he would look at
which I would assume
After a while,
is in
Claire
that.
said that she couldn't believe that elves were being kidnapped just for money. Karin also said it was terrible. Lear turned to Ryu and asked if the young man was okay. Ryu agreed and said that they would definitely save all the elves. He doesn't understand how one can look at other races as things. Lear and Karin agree with the young man. Ryu says they need more information. They need to find out where the prisoners are being held and who is behind all this. Ms. Tiamat suggested that the guys change their clothes because they are too conspicuous now. Ryu agreed with the girl. Then they decided to hide the clothes here. After that, they need to ask more questions. Suddenly, he opens a pot on the ground and sees a child there. greets Ryu. Everyone is very surprised. The child greeted Ryu.
We also need the Apatosaurus.
The child screamed and asked the young man what he was doing. Ryu apologized.
Camden, we
and
need
said
to hunt down
he didn't
some more
want to invade the
Ambers.
child's home. The girl said that this was not her house and she was not a child. Her name is Alice, and she will be 19 this year, and she is an informant from the land of the world. Alice also.
We got all the races and all dinos and all golden rocks and all people and all red rocks and all
The cameras.
and dino, all music dinos and the dino bones. We are rock.
Yep. So let's go to the levels that we need the Ambers.
Yeah, but
Because I can't get the other gold blocks in the area we're at right now without an Apatosaurus or a Bronto.
I want to watch YouTube.
Oh, really? Well, you can do that on your phone. Or on your own TV.
But you're
Why not watch the Art TV show? Watch some more of that.
Art TV? Yeah.
Yeah, we can watch some of that.
Yeah, but I watched so far of it.
How far?
Oh, so far. Because I was been watching a lot of shows.
Yeah, you watched it last night after I fell asleep?
You hear all these episodes?
Nope, I was asleep.
You hear stuff? We have a train.
No, not last night.
Okay.
Hold on, I got it in the episode.